Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another edition. I don't know how many times we've been here, but yes, we are back for another edition of the Artbeat. Again, we are we are a man less, but our other colleague Isaac Obiona will join us along the way. We're just happy to be back here. Andrew, we want to welcome you back on the show.
Yeah,
we had a heated debate last week, and you're seated next to the man who is responsible for that.
The catalyst.
We hope this time he will be less animated and he would try to compose himself. just a quick introduction. I'll start with you.
Good evening, viewer. We are happy to be again. My name is Nathan Ryan Atlog from The Observer.
Sebo, chaotic man of the show.
It's not a good evening, particularly because of the reason we all know the topic of discussion. But above all, we also lost a legend, DJ Bush Baby. So
yeah, we are going to kick off with that.
Yeah, I hope we can add a few things to this discussion of the album.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, Andrew Kagwa. Yeah, it's quite a very somber mood, I mean, for music lovers in Uganda. And that's, like, I think the reasons are different. I don't know what his reasons are. But
we know what his reasons are.
The reasons for a somber mood for many Ugandan music lovers is because we lost Bush Baby. And yeah, that's sad. But glad to be here after this quite a very long time. I think the past 3 or 4 weeks
editions, yeah, we've not had you. Yes.
So glad to be back.
Okay, guys. To kick off with what the two of you have mentioned, today. I think it was around 2 p.m.
Yeah.
When news broke that veteran radio and TV personality, also a DJ Bush Baby, or those who are close to him may know him as Benjamin Owol. Is it Benjamin Owol? Yeah, he passed on today, reportedly at his studio in Entebbe. He has stayed in Entebbe for a very long time. So he passed on. And, but maybe just a brief background. He suffered some illness, I think about 2 years ago. There was even a fundraiser.
During COVID.
Yeah.
He got an accident that messed up with his pelvic system.
And I remember there was a fundraiser where he needed, I think, about 15 million, and I think that was
to rectify. The surgery was perfectly done.
Yeah, and he was back on his feet. He even started recently had started a podcast with Josh the Fixer. Yeah,
Josh the Fixer is one of those guys that have been close to Bush.
He's a really close
Baby.
friend of his. So he was really
But above all, he was playing. He was doing these gigs.
He had shows.
There is an event he was going to play on this weekend in Nigeria, where a friend of mine was taking me.
At the Gardens.
At the Gardens.
He's been a resident
DJ there. I think I also watched him there a couple of months back. He's been that guy.
There's that monthly night at Utake.
Yeah.
Then there's also the East African Meat Carnival. There's also some other. Yeah, I think
he has been at the Gardens because Gardens hubs the age of that we call the millennials from 30s, because I see him always be there. The B walls.
35 plus.
So
I last saw him play at is it called Silo or Silo 15?
Silo
15 at in Bugorobi. That's where I last watched him play. I think about almost a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think for the bigger number of the people, they relate with him a lot from his days of radio and East African.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think if you're in your mid-30s and above, you must have witnessed him or encountered him on East Africa TV.
Yeah. So something I also realized about Bush Baby, he's among those few guys with well, if it's an institution, you call it institutional memory, but he's the guy with the music memory of the urban Ugandan music, because he was East African music. He was a focal person in trying to bring East Africa as a one musical kind of hub, and he, for quite a long time, is the guy who could vividly speak about the intersection of how Uganda tapped into Kenya, the stories of the chameleons in the early 2000s, are trying to cross over. He is one of those guys
been there.
because he was part of it. He was there as a key stakeholder, as one of the guys trying to connect the thing. So I hope I watched him on a few interviews when he was trying to talk about that, but briefly. I hope we can later find out an entire kind of session where he was simply making sense of that.
Yeah. I've actually seen something when on my way here. I think it was either Red Sun or Nameless. One of the two has also talked about his death, and because that's the generation.
That's true.
But wasn't he your boss at
Yeah. At one time, the time I was still at New Vision, DJ Bush Baby was. I worked closely with him, and I realized very many things about him. One, I think this is a personal kind of judgment. I think Bush Baby, at personal level, I realized he faced one of his biggest challenges. He faced a challenge to do with appreciation. I think for the bigger part, I saw him at his very last days at the New Vision, in his first being there, and then also his return. I looked at a man who felt like he was underappreciated.
Okay.
Underappreciated, and I think it's also the very reason he had to leave Naguru and return to the New Vision. For the times I engaged with him, he was a guy who he was focused, and then he was a perfectionist, and he never turned his ways around what he believed in. He's a guy who he's a guy who discovered talent, and when he loved talent, it was so hard for him to even think of replacing that particular talent. For me, he came off as the guy, like, instead of losing a particular talent, because he started very many shows. When you look at a product like Scoop on Scoop, one of the big products that Urban TV had, Bush Baby was behind such products. And for him, at the very genesis, he believed such a show is for a person like Mary Ruswat. So Enkolayo was like, I build a product and it is tailor-made for a certain person. So when Mary Ruswata left, for him to come to terms and peace with the fact that it is not Ruswata doing that and someone else has to come and do that, it is something that really took a lot of compromise for Bush Baby. He was this kind of one-way route guy, and to change his mind from a concept he had built really took a lot of compromise.
Which is typical of very many
Yeah,
creatives.
but I want to credit him for at his peak, the brands that he managed did so well. At the time before the new media became the thing, Urban TV was the thing, and he was the guy behind it. And that, what I said previously, affected him in the long run, because when the new media came, his style of management and being just a one-way kind of, like, he was so passionate of the things that he believed in, and because he had tested them and they had worked, he, in a way, in his later life, found it hard to sometimes contradict or think otherwise. So it's the reason he found challenges when he returned to New Vision to turn around Urban TV, because his style of how it worked back in the day
wasn't
working out anymore. And I think it later frustrated him, and finally it was his last blowout from the media.
Wow. Personally, I think I only saw Bush Baby from a distance, and that's from those school days when we used to listen to Uganda Central, and that like you can imagine how it was a Tanzanian radio, but how we used to get much of the information happening in Kampala from them. I think it was Bush Baby, Sebo, and I don't remember, but there was a lady in the mix. And they used to do an amazing job talking Ugandan culture, Ugandan music, and whatever was going on. He contributed a lot when it came to Ugandan music having that crossover appeal to Tanzania, and then Tanzania bridging the gap and also coming to Uganda. He did some singing. I think one of the songs I remember was called Tafadali. which I think was like his best song when he did music. But yeah, I think he's a person that will be missed. And if you remember when he came back to Uganda, some of the brands he created, if you remember XXL,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think which was produced by him and Josh the Fixer.
Yes.
And then that was their house raising the bar, which did
Yes.
that. And then I think later they tried to do like an online TV where they did the whole VUCA TV thing, and
Yes.
they released that cipher, and I don't really know what happened to VUCA because it didn't kick off.
He was highly a creative guy, and it really explains the reason why some of the people that have been close to him, Josh the Fixer, and then there is a guy at the New Vision, Humphrey.
Humphrey, yeah.
When you look at Humphrey, Josh, there are kinds of lifestyles or interests around those, hardcore kind of tech things.
Yeah.
That was Bush Baby, really.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't have much encounter with Bush Baby.
Bush Baby.
But the list that I remember is the Meat Carnival. I think he played there once, and then once in a while at the Gardens, he used to pass by because the Gardens they used to host that every end of the month or Sunday, they host that Meat Carnival there. So he was a friendly guy, and he was a person that would love to see someone prosper and having a good feel of what
Yes.
he or she wants to have. Yeah.
Yeah, back still to New Vision, the Urban TV. I think Bush Baby is the brain behind most of those shows. For me, where I really want to credit him is the coming of shows like Scoop on Scoop. Scoop on Scoop Yaja, I have it on, on record that Bush Baby was behind that particular product. And at the time, it really came and it was a bang. And most of the shows that we have on television today is a gossip. Have
It was the pioneer of
it was the pioneer, and it really Scoop on Scoop Yatutwala. It was a new concept that people couldn't believe, like a person can come to TV and they simply bash.
I feel like it came at the right time when everyone was bashing Urban TV, and he's the person who brought it up to life.
And also the other thing is he's one of those guys back in the day that brought a lot of talent, and he could really handle and manage them. At the time when he was at the helm of Urban TV, I think he had Gaetano on there.
Yeah.
He had Didan, Mackenzie, and all of them, handling such talent today. And it's not even about the money or
this Gabriel Penuno was also there.
at the time.
Even this guy who's in the US now.
King Siobhan Malcolm.
Yeah, but there's also a guy who. What's that
Faith
guy's name?
Ariho.
Opio.
Yeah, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Even
So-
Mosha.
Yeah.
Mosha
Yes.
at the coming of, I think that was Skizzy,
Then actually, Samson Kasumba is also
Samson
that.
Kasumba,
Oh,
Andrew
yes.
Chamagero.
Yes, Andrew Chamagero. That's the generation.
Yeah, I liked a concept they did even with them is they had a celebrity kind of bulletin where celebrities would come and anchor. But generally, at the peak of Urban TV, it redefined the urban youth or urban, and really he did well.
Yeah.
at
He,
that.
he later came back to Urban TV, but by the time he came back, I think there was not much left of the station.
yeah, I know. And I remember the first time he was leaving, he made a post on his, I think, Facebook, and he mentioned something like, when a person proves they can do your job better, you let them. Something that really spoke to internal conflicts probably you had in there with management and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Bush Baby, and 50 years. I mean, there he goes.
Yeah.
He will be missed. I've seen people on social media trying to call out the team that was organizing the fourth floor event at the Gardens, where he was going to be playing to theme it around his life and celebrating him. Yeah.
Because it has been like a hub for, like I said, it has been the hub of the millennials, 30 and plus, because they have that theme where they host only the age bracket and they have a good time, meet and greet.
Okay, guys, there's a lot to talk about Bush Baby. We want to welcome the gentleman on the
Mr.
show.
Producer is the guest of honor, wired, mic'd.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to mic him.
But as Isaac gets mic'd,
The guest of honor.
the guest of honor gets mic'd. Andrew, what do we learn? What does this current generation of radio, TV personalities, people who are, talented in that field, what do they learn from that trailblazing career that DJ Bush Baby has left in half a minute?
One, like being on your toes when you're doing the job, being on your toes, doing your research. Because when you heard Bush Baby talk about East African music, you noticed that he wasn't just talking about it, he actually lived it. You could feel like he connected with very many people at his time. You see, something is very funny today, but it's very easy to find a radio presenter today who does not have a phone number of any artist.
Yeah.
Or who has never directly talked to one artist or tried to make that connection.
Yeah.
So I think that's what a presenter today needs to pick from a person like Bush Baby. Like make those calls, get to know people, go and visit events, attend events, and not even just a radio personality or a media personality, but even if you're just writing like us. Because like when you're talking with Isaac, we usually have an issue where you're like, sometimes the people we're supposed to be reporting to do not really understand what you're talking about. And it's a problem within media. Like at times you're trying to explain something to your superior, but they do not understand the language. They don't understand the events you're talking about because they do not go out
They are
that much.
disconnected.
They're disconnected.
Yeah. For me, the thing I really learn and want the newer or younger generation in let me say, I'll speak partially for the DJing industry, is try to be versatile and have a plan or work plan of how your career is going to be. When you look at Bush Baby, yes, he kicked off as a DJ, but in his later years, he moved into media management. He had very many other skills to himself.
Yeah.
So for you, a young DJ out there, what do you think you're gonna be at the top of your game for all the time? How about you go back and get some other skills that can make you versatile? Because Bush Baby reached a point and he was no longer the DJ people knew. He was into management spaces in media. And at one time, like we talked to you, he led an entire section of a media company. I think that was Entertainment and Lifestyle at New Vision. He headed a TV station, a radio station, and these are all pluses that you can add to yourself as an entertainer out there. And yes, you might be playing. I think there is a guy doing it perfectly well. He's Nyowe.
Yeah,
he's a radio pro.
He's actually the PD at
Capital.
At Capital.
Capital and the beat.
Yeah, and this is a guy you'll also find out. But then he has something. He has a fallback position. So that value is something that I really. It's my takeaway generally from DJ Bush's.
Isaac,
Bush's
we're happy to have you on the show. Introduce yourself in a second. And
But you've just introduced me.
Okay. Okay, our boss.
our chief guest.
So Isaac, in 30 seconds, because we want to rush into the topic of the day, anything you would like to say about, I know you've, in your line of work as a journalist, you might have encountered him or probably watched him on TV growing up, DJ Bush Baby.
No, I listened to him, I watched him, I interacted with him. I interacted with DJ Bush Baby when he got the health complications during COVID. Yeah, I sat down with him, did an interview, but funny enough, I reminded him how he influenced my love for Ugandan music. At the time, he was working on East African TV and radio during the UG Central days. So I was more into the Kenyan music but Bush Baby's dedication to Ugandan music kind of forced me to also love Ugandan music. UG Central was so huge in my life that every Saturday I would get, I even bought a small radio that I used to walk around with just to listen to UG Central. Bush Baby was so dedicated to promoting Ugandan music. I have never seen any DJ do that. Other DJs are just into the game to get money. But he is a guy who left East Africa Radio, came back to Uganda, returned again to East Africa Radio, started Kiss FM
in Tanzania.
in Tanzania.
Yeah.
So
This is in Kenya.
he was so dedicated. He loved what he was doing. There was no room for either I'm out or in the middle. He was all in when it came to his line of work.
Yeah.
So what I would like other DJs to kind of borrow a leaf from Bush Baby is love what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get all in. Don't leave no room for any error.
Yeah.
Just go into it.
Yeah, he really
Yes.
loved what he was doing. Yeah. Okay, rest in peace, Bush Baby. But guys, I want us to dive straight into the topic of the day. Last week we had a conversation about Bebe Cool's album, Break the Chains, and on that day, I think that was 30th, May.
29th.
29th.
39th.
No, it was 30th because the
20.
album,
No, it
the
wasn't.
album was
The
coming
album
out that
30th.
Album dropped on 30th. That's a
Yeah.
Friday.
So-
But the listeners' part was on
The
29th.
album dropped at midnight.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
Friday.
So that is why it's
Oh yeah,
confusing.
yeah, 30th actually. Yeah. So 29th we were here and we discussed the album, but by then we had not yet listened to most of the songs. I think all of us only knew about two.
We only knew two songs that
Yeah.
were
Circumference
released.
and
Motivation.
Motivation. And those of you who watched the show, you saw how, like we said, this guy just decided to flare up and just, but
He was
now
blazing.
he was blazing. He was firing from all cylinders on that show.
And by the look on his face,
Yes.
he wants to continue from where he
Yeah,
came
when
from.
we are starting the show, he has said that it is a somber mood because of obvious reasons, and he didn't mention Bush Baby as the somber reason why.
But the album is the main reason.
So, but guys, I'm sure all of us have listened to the album. I want us to start with, before we go into the songs that are on that album, I want us to first talk about how Bebe Cool has, thrown his entire weight on this album. Even at just because I watched the listeners' party live. It was live on YouTube on Bebe Cool's channel.
Oh,
Yes, it was live for an hour, I think. So I watched bits of it, but you could tell that he is going all out, even in the promotion of the album, both the post promotion, but also before the album gets out. So you could see the people he called for the guys he invited for the listeners party. Almost not every musician, but so many musicians.
By the top guys.
The guys who are trending in music now, almost all of
Some
them.
deliberately refuse to come.
Which ones?
Eddie Kenzo.
Okay,
he was invited?
we shall head into that. We shall go into that.
It was.
the guy who the co-MC, the co-host of the listeners party. That guy from Nigeria.
Oh, at the
Desope.
Stoppe?
Yes,
Yeah.
at Desope. It was really big. The listeners part, I think it's probably the biggest we've had in a very long time. Isaac, you were there
Always start with me.
because you were there.
But you see,
Okay, let me start.
helicopter view.
Okay, let me speak on my.
You were there as well.
Yes.
He was also
We
there.
went here together.
Yes. No, but the question I want to ask.
First and foremost,
Hey,
the album.
Okay.
okay.
The album.
He has an answer. Okay.
The album was started to be created like 2 years back. And believe you me, I know, of course we have been talking about the branding and everything, but trust me, when you watch that thing on live, Bebe Cool set a high pace. And it's going to teach most of us here and the artists outside there that it should be a lesson, and you're going to learn how we need to roll out our albums there, because he invested in a lot. Like the people who are there, the Julianas, the Chameleons came from Rwanda straight up, Joshua Baraka, everyone that was sent an invite attended and appreciated the work the guys put in. Yeah, Isaac can continue from where I was stopped.
Was Elijah there? Because he's one of the people that listened
Elijah,
to the
I didn't
album
know.
before.
Elijah, no.
What
It was-
Azawi was
It was Azawi,
Elijah wasn't in the country
Azawi,
at the
Winnie,
Okay.
Benon, Juliana,
Chameleon,
Cindy,
Alien Skin.
Lily Pazzo, Alien Skin. Yeah.
quite a number of them. Isaac, the atmosphere that you saw at the listeners' party, and then you later listened to the album, did that live up to the album's billing? You know, the euphoria there, the atmosphere, and all that. Was it up to what we all expected,
Yes.
or was it just Bebe Cool being the guy who wants to be all out there, branding and all that?
The anticipation was there. You could see the event was announced. The event was said that it was said the event would start at 6, but you know Ugandan things, Ugandans with timing. It ended up starting at around 9 p.m. But by 8, at least the place was full.
So that means if it started late, you guys left when the album had dropped.
No. The album dropped
At
they
midnight.
They started
dropped.
playing the songs.
Yeah.
Because they played a song while Bebe Cool
Was interpreting
was
why.
was telling the reasons why he dropped those songs. So by 9:30, the songs had started playing, and he was explaining the reasons behind the several songs on the album. So, but the anticipation was there. People were discussing what they expect of the album, the kind of it was a somber mood. It was a good mood around the place. So when he came, you could clearly see the attention the audience was giving him, the invited people were giving him. And then what I liked about the whole listeners party is Vienna Indie.
Yeah.
She was the co-host. She was so she was so interactive with the audience.
That girl is really good.
She's
I must
really
say.
good. Yeah, she did a tremendous job. She talked to people who needed to be talked to. The Cindy's, the
Salvador's.
Julianas, Salvador. You could clearly tell that at least the people she talked to had an idea
of what is happening.
about music. Even Lil Puzzle, surprisingly, though he asked for a collabo from Bebe Cool,
Alien
Skin. For the first time, Alien Skin said something I never expected him to have said. He said when they used to look up people like Bebe Cool, Bobby Wines, but the things they looked up to were fights, and that is where they came from. That you have to fight to make it.
Yeah.
But now with this album, his direction has has changed.
He's trying to pick
something different from from Bebe Cool.
Yeah.
You could say he was sober.
Yeah.
And been sober for a while now.
And then when he came in, he came on a bike with his girlfriend, I don't know. But his entourage had 4 people.
Okay.
It's the first time I saw that. And Commander Mudogo, one of his right-hand men, was putting on a suit.
Oh.
You understand?
That trip to Kenya was quite something.
They never caused any chaos. They came, took pictures. They were taken to a place where they were reserved. They sat. They were served drinks. When the event was done, they just left. You understand?
They were
so it
serving
was,
drinks?
Yeah?
I was told drinks were not on the house. I don't know how that
Some
works.
people bought for themselves. You know, it had classes. Some people who got reservations were served
They were
drinks
offered
and
drinks.
drinks. Others, you had to buy for yourselves.
You guys
Where
do it for
did the
yourselves.
media fall in that category?
For us, we
Media
bought ourselves.
went there to work. So
So yeah, I know.
What are you trying to insinuate?
No,
it's okay.
It's fine. It's fine. Andrew,
Yeah.
I want to come to you. I want us to. I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you. It's the reason why. Andrew, the title of the album, Break the Chains.
Yeah.
Does the title of the album speak to what we have so far listened to? Because, for example, I'll give you an example of Burna Boy's African Giant. We released it a couple of years ago. The statement that, in my opinion, the statement that he was trying to put was, because by then he had already released some music, and we had actually now noticed that Burna Boy is here, and he's trying to take over. You know, so maybe the title of the album was trying to cement what he had already, you know, the picture of himself that he had put out there in the African music scene. Break the Chains. Does the music, the concept behind the album, really speak to the literal meaning of Break the Chains?
Starting off with Burna, by the way, like African Giant and Twice as Taller is actually the same thing.
Yeah,
Because like he contemplated doing African Giant too, but then he was like, let me just call it Twice as Taller, which means African
pretty
Giant
much the same thing,
in another way. So when I was listening to the album, I badly wanted to, because he explained what Breaking the Chains means for him. Like it's for the Ugandan audience, or the Ugandan music, like to break those chains.
He spoke something about inspiring
Younger
musicians,
generation to dare to do things.
Yeah.
One, I've always thought we needed that. We needed someone to show younger artists, because, like you see, things in Uganda come from daring. When Bebe Cool released the first single of Go Mama, Love You Every Day, and it was a fantastic video.
Yeah.
I have it on authority that that 1million changed his mind on the video he was going to do for Wale Wale. And that's how we ended up with that concept in Karamoja, which was a very beautiful one. So you could see that just one video of Love You Every Day forced 1million to think harder, and we got a better video of Go Mama. I mean, a better video of Wale Wale. So I always thought that we need one big artist to do something spectacular. Personally, I believe if it was an artist like Bebe Cool or 1million who had done what Joshua Baraka is doing at the moment, this industry would have been changed already, because those people lead perceptions. And Alien Skin was actually right. Whenever they fought, the younger generation knew that maybe that's what we need to do. And much of that younger generation usually started by coming after Bebe Cool himself. That's from Radiant Weasel, that's I think at one time Rabadaba, like everyone knew. Zizabafana, everyone knew, like, you just go after that guy. They knew even what to touch, they knew how to abuse him, and they knew he would respond, and yeah, they'll get their thing. So him going this direction is actually breaking that chain of, this is what you're supposed to learn, the bad things you're supposed to be learning from me, to these are the good things you're supposed to be learning from me. For me, in that sense, he has actually broken that chain. It will be broken better if Joseph probably comes out as well. But I don't think Joseph is coming out anytime soon.
Okay. Patrick, when we listened to when Circumference came out and Motivation, there's a certain group of Ugandan music fans and consumers who didn't really receive the songs as big as Bebe Cool probably wanted them to be consumed. And some people bashed the album on the word go, that probably may not be as big as Bebe Cool is trying to paint it. But after the listeners' party, the atmosphere has been different. People seem to have welcomed the music.
He said you listen to it by force.
Yeah, and Isaac is one actually who said it on the show. He said something like that on the show last week, and Patrick didn't agree with him totally. But Patrick, you seem to be, almost eating your words after the listeners' party. The atmosphere, the reception has been, something that we did not anticipate. Is that do you share the feeling? Is the feeling mutual?
Yeah, most definitely. This is what I'm going to say. I'm not eating any of my words.
Okay.
My words still stand. One, I'm going to say like 5 things and I'll briefly summarize. Did Bebe Cool break the chains with the music? Yes. I tried to listen to the entire album on Saturday night. The music on there is good music. And as per what he said when he was releasing, I think, the very first song of that album, the Love You Every Day of Break the Chains. He said,
what you said is circumference.
is circumference. Bebe Cool said he's going to do something that is unusual. He's trying to change a certain narrative. He's trying to lead by example.
Yes.
Musically, he did that with the, with the projects on the album. There, I credit him so much. I love the music on there, and the music is good. 2, as per what I said last week, is the music going to change the narrative as he thinks it is? No.
Why?
Why? You see, in Uganda, the people the audience that consumes music in Uganda is one that is that appreciates content that gets redefined gradually with what they understand. What Bebe Cool did with Break the Chains is coming from 17 to 89 all at once. I'll give you an example. When people like Joshua Baraka, with the kind of music that he's doing today, and it's going all out there. It's urban, but with a certain local touch that people. Joshua Baraka today, I be once in a while when I go out. When you listen to his what's his latest song that's trending? Wrong Places.
Wrong Places, yeah.
When you listen at Wrong Places, it's I think it was last Friday night. I was all throughout Bandari, moved to Kololo, and somewhere next to my place, it's a local kind of bar along Chisasi. This is a song that they will play, and the audiences at Bandari at Silo will jump to and relate, and the same to the local audience. So what Joshua is doing with his music, yes, he's tapping into a certain flavor, not doing it so fast to detach from what our people totally relate with. It is not the same with this album.
So you're faulting Bebe Cool for quickly switching to an urban sound.
Exactly, and trust me.
But what's the fault in that, Patrick?
No.
Because if
there
someone
is no
says-
fault in that. I'm only telling you the reality of what is on
No, if
ground.
someone says they are breaking chains,
Yes, it is upon him to break the chains in a manner that makes sense to him, but I'm trying to make sense of what the audience does or what the audience relates to. One, let me tell you, to make much more sense about that, for the artists to change and align with him in that kind of situation, they will have to first of all fall in love with the music that he has done. And the best way, do you know why people are trying to appreciate Joshua Baraka, even the Lily Puzzles that you would think are totally local artists? It's because he's doing music that is tapping into even their audience. There is no way you're going to prove to the young artists today who are leading airplay and nightclubs, the airwaves, that is the direction they have to take. Because locally here, our artists have not yet moved to a point of doing music in terms of quality. They still, Bebe Cool is at that level because he can. Yakuba da kase pichi, yakuba da kamwako, yakuba da bekaba katini, nezimuletera sente. Okay? So he's at that level. Trust me, Bebe Cool, with this album, he's speaking to a caliber of artists who are in his league. But the majority of the artists whose narrative he wants to change and influence by Break the Chains as an album are not yet there. Would he have solved the problem with this album? I will end this by saying that he moved so fast. It's a great body of work. I love the music because I'm a music consumer and I'm at that level as well. But as an analyst, he broke the chains for himself and for the artist.
I actually don't think he moved so fast.
because before you come in, Andrew, I want to first have Patrick on that, on the same point. If Bebe Cool or any other artist doesn't start, that movement to a new sound, who then will? Because he started. I would imagine him.
He started.
So that
he started. You see, everything in regards to changing a narrative or moving anything to a right direction. Tokikola so swiftly. Okitegeera ne bwe kuba vuga mmotoka omuntu omutandikisa mu V8 mwami Gashuba yabagamba mukyala we yasooka mugulira vitiza perfecting amuleetera eri ey'amaanyi. It is the same. Never, even in life, you won't start by earning 10 million. You will start with the 300. You move step by step.
But Bebe has
the
been
sound,
here for so many years.
That's exactly what I'm saying. For him, he's at that level to do that. But it was so wrong for him to say and claim that that album is the one that people has to use as a yardstick to change what they are doing, because the level the majority of the artists in Uganda are at is a level where they really want to do music. It relates with the audiences, they get bookings, they get paid, they change their lives. Bebe Cool was there some years ago. Today, if he's doing that and he wants to change that entire narrative to people getting into that music won't earn them the money. The music on Break the Chains is not music that is going to make money. He's going to stream, he's going to, but artists, they are not going to get the money that they want off the streams. When I'll tell you one of the topping artists today, abaina musical ground, nchajafuna bookings nga 5 on a good weekend per day. Akole millions abiri oba 25. Bwaba ku music gwakola that is appealing to this audience. The same audience and time where Bebe Cool was probably 15 years ago. Chate chimukolira. So Bebe Cool is changing the narrative to artists. Probably the Joshua Barakas who have a certain level where they are in terms of people who are investing in their music and what.
No,
but
like,
kaliba y'abayimbi abasinga bayagala okyusa oba osettingira pace tebakisobolera tebagenda kikola because that music tagenda hitting.
The first
person
person is not. I don't really think Bebe Cool is trying to change the way artists are doing music, but he's trying to change the narrative for the artists that are coming. Because kankuwulira amazima. I think the whole issue people are having with Bebe Cool is because he has done music that sounds a different way, and now he's doing music that sounds
And there's
in
no
a certain way.
version in it.
Nti olaba, when Joshua came, yali kyakuba abasinga ku ground tebakitegeera.
naye kyekyamuyisawo ku ground bamutegeere era bwe yakikuba n'ayitawo
teyakyusa kuba kidandali.
takubya kidandali era bwe yakyusa teyayambusa nnyo nga Bebe kyakoze yayambusaamu katini to match the level. No, I can justify that. I can just, what's Joshua's first song to hit all through to the ground? What song was it? Nana.
And people thought he was Nigerian.
Listen bw'owuliriza Nana ne music Joshua gwazeeko kola that still relates waliwo enjawulo nene.
No, kyengezawo kugamba nti the reason lwaki people do not have an issue with omuntu nga Joshua with what he's doing is because from the set go bamumanyidde mu katiba ako nti obuzibu obuliwo kati nti Bebe Cool has an existing fan base emumanyidde ku kintu ekyenjawulo.
Yes.
And that fan base okugikyusa nti woyinza okugamba nti it's been a very very tough sharp.
I like that point. If you remember what I said last week, still on that. Now, Agamba, I gave you a couple of factors that are going to limit this album by Bebe Cool. Onochayogede Andrew is one of the things I said. It might be a good product and what, but there is a factor of age and timing that does not really play in Bebe Cool's favor. Do you agree with me?
I am going to come back to that issue, Patrick, because
the age factor cannot play in everything when it comes to artists because, come on, we've listened to some older artists. They only
doing what style?
Does it matter what style you do at what age?
The time we knew Timaya, he was already old. But the difference is...
Was he making his debut?
No, he wasn't. But in Africa, he was. Because in Nigeria, they knew him for some time. In Africa, he was.
Bebe Cool with the music he's doing, the age factor is not playing.
The difference with what's happening with Bebe Cool right now is that omwana omuto obutakulimba alina obudde bungi obupromoting talina na sacrifices nyingi.
Okay, guys, I want to come back to this side because this side.
True, the man didn't invest the 700.
Patrick, I'm going to come back to you. Isaac, I want to go to Isaac. If you could just hold it there. Okay. Isaac, the music, now you have listened to the songs. I know you have listened to the music. And Patrick is putting across certain
Isaac started listening to that album. The first song that dropped was on repeat.
Before you came, meanwhile, people said he's probably still listening to the last 2 songs of the album. But
I know, yeah, can testify. The song was on replay. But then from 1,000 streams, kumbe 70% of all those come
from NMG.
first of all, Isaac, you from your experience of the album and the music you've listened to, do you think the factor of age, like Patrick says, age appropriate? I know, he's not in touch with the people who would like that music. Do you think that has any effect on the music he has produced?
I strongly disagree with Patrick.
Yes.
Like I disagreed with him
Last week.
Music is not sports. And when you reach a certain age,
You can't play.
you cannot play. People are playing music nga bali mu wheelchairs.
To what audiences?
Audiences vary. Maybe the man is trying to tap into a whole new audience. Which again.
And Bebe Cool isn't that old, guys. Bebe Cool is 47.
But Patrick is sacrificing a man, he's faulting a man. Ye eyatula ne team ye n'agamba, you know what? Now this is the direction I want to take. Let's focus in this direction. And he has done it. Okitegera. So abamugoberera n'abatamugoberera ajja kulabira ekyo. Ye yasazeewo. There is no point of no return.
Moses Matovu has a song with Keko.
Exactly.
No, it's true. Age factor can play in, but kyonna kyonna era kidda wa muyimbi. Nti nga bwe ngambye nti omuyimbi omuto akyasobola okumala emyezi 6 out of Uganda ng'apushinga kintu nga talina kyasuubira nti tebagenda mukubira nti oba jjangu birthday ya omwana alwadde biki, nti omuyimbi omuto asobola okukikola. Nti ate bwe kijja ku muyimbi omukulu wabeerawo those restrictions nti you're not going to miss your child's birthday, you're not going to miss a visiting day. Nti awo restrictions we ziri naye nga omuntu ye nga ye bw'aba yeewaddeyo regardless of age asobola okitambuza.
Okay, guys, I want us to talk about the production.
Bebe Cool agenda kitambuza.
Going by the investment in this album, I believe again.
Today is 6th of June.
Like I will tell you,
5th.
Like 5th of June. I gave it 1 quarter.
like I will tell you what I
We shall be
believe.
here.
What I believe is cards ziri mu ngalo za Bebe Cool. Asobola okiyiwa, asobola okitambuza.
You see,
Like
last week,
I want to leave that window open.
yeah, let's leave it open. Last week, I didn't close any window. Last week, I gave like 6 factors that don't play in Bebe Cool's favor, and timing was one of them. And I love some of them, Andrew, because you are not here, you're waiting on the same, but indirectly. The timing issue. And you see the problem Bebe Cool did with this album is the same exact problem he did with the other, which I actually believe is a far better album than this. Let me say this.
You're literally
Bebe Cool released
you're preempting
Go Mama.
my story of
Bebe
Daily
Cool
Monitor.
released Go Mama on the same date that released Break the Chains, in the same month 10 years ago. A time that was nearing elections. At the time, he was a political artist. 10 years later, he's even a million times more political. I am 100% sure he's not going to exchange his political activations and involvement for this particular album that he spent
Which goes
over
back,
$700,000 on.
which goes back to what I said. I think the cards are in his
Timing?
hands. One, it's true. Bebe Cool released this album the same day he released Go Mama. Go Mama had Love You.
Do you think
Every
it
Day.
was premeditated or it's...
I don't know.
No,
I don't
it
know.
can't be. I don't know.
Go Mama had Love You Every Day, nominated for Cora, nominated for the MTV, and I could say it was successful.
You can relate it with the Love You Every Day. With the Love You Every Day, you can relate it with its version of Break the Chain,
Which is like Circumference.
Yeah.
How about
could-
Home?
No, I mean Love You Every Day was the opening song of
Okay.
the album,
Circumference.
and Circumference this time was the opening
It
song.
came late 2014.
Yes, and that album on an African scale, I would say was successful because I attended the MTV Awards the 2 consecutive years when that album was out. And then things were going well for a better part of 2015 until October
When Tubonga now happened.
2015 when Tubonga happened, which today I still feel like Tubonga buried Go Mama, the entire project.
And the elections too.
And the elections took center stage. You know, when we came out of that election, everyone was saying, let's boycott the artists. And artists did their best to win
With,
their audience back.
It's
With-
actually the reason Bebe Cool in there. He now channeled to release a few other hits that are totally.
Like Bebe Cool.
With guys, with the way he has, you know, tried so much already, pushing this album, the weight he has thrown onto it. Do you think he will, do you think he will prioritize NRM elections and campaigns over the album? Because he has already released a media tour, a world media tour in different parts of the world, the US, UK, Nigeria, so many other places. Do you think the elections or the campaigns are going to overshadow his? Do you think he's going to let that happen?
I mean, he performed in Kawempe after releasing Circumference.
Bebe
So-
Cool cannot detach from those national election issues.
Guys, I want us to go to the music itself. And
No, but like I will insist on what I said again. The cards are in his hands. Like he can either make or break this album.
The cards are in his hands, but some of the things we can ideally look at them. Do you think Bebe Cool is going to trash the elections to focus on his album?
There
No,
is
I want to get answers from each of you, starting from Isaac. Will he?
I think he can.
I personally also think he will, because there's something about this album that, because Bebe Cool wants,
What is so special with this album?
because
Apart from the
I
music
feel like he
business?
wants to prove a point this time round, because from the day he released, from the first press conference at Next Media, when he was releasing, I think, Circumference,
Yeah.
you could tell how intentional he was with the album.
And this time round, guys, he has a group of people he's working with. With the Go Mama album,
He had
it
a
was
team as well.
basically him. But this time round,
He has a team.
I'm so hopeful.
And with
For
the
this
money,
album to move, Bebe Cool has to physically and fully. The team can do the background work, but people want for this album to move. And I want to add something small on the media tours you talked
I'm
about.
going to side with
The
Patrick.
media tours that Bebe Cool is trying to do for such an album, the media tours can make sense in Uganda. If he's going to do a media tour in the US and he sits on a panel with people here and it simply talks about the album, it won't add anything. It is a formality thing. What he needs to do when he moves out there is to actually get
guys-
certain number of people, let me say 200 people. He probably sits them up and he performs so that they get to appreciate the content, not to talk about the album.
Actually,
The
I think-
media
I
tours
think,
are not going to help, guys.
No, media tours are important, but the most important thing is to actually face the audience.
Face the audience so that they tap in.
I
Nathan,
think
Nathan.
it would be a good thing if Bebe Cool performs with Joshua Baraka when he's performing in London.
As
And
a
I think
curtain raiser.
I think in one of his performances.
It's where I was coming from, where I was coming at. Since you said that you were now diving into the music.
But before you go to the music, I want to ask, and maybe Isaac can also jump onto the question after you. Have we identified what exactly Bebe Cool's audience for this album is? Because we might be expecting him to be pushing it in Uganda, but in actual sense, he's actually not really looking at Uganda to push the music.
Okay, one, I see the album as 2 musicians and 1 DJ. First, he has the Czech music, the song with Joshua Baraka. I think in Uganda right now, if you are looking at to break the chains abroad, there's one person that is exporting our music. That's Baraka. And for him now also collaborating with Yami Alade, I feel like it's because of maybe the age, together in the same age bracket. It's another point of pushing the music abroad. And also the DJ that is on.
DJ Edu.
Yes. I feel like all those together, combined, I feel like he's targeting that
He's
audience.
Kenyan, based in the UK.
Nigeria, you get Joshua Baraka relating to most people when he travels.
Afropop outside
You
Uganda.
get. So I feel like the album is targeting the audience that live along the local.
So it's not really it's primarily for Ugandans.
Yes. No.
It's not primarily for Ugandans, yet the entire setting around it spoke to changing the narrative in Uganda.
We'll come back. We'll come back to
What
that.
are we doing?
Guys,
No. I want us to stay. I don't want us to lie the people that are watching us. Guys.
Okay, guys.
No, you're trying to expect that the man made an album and his target audience is not here. He's trying to target Europe or whatever. But in his communication, he says he's trying to do music that will show artists down here, change the narrative in Uganda. He's launched it here. He's done media tours here. Guys, no. I want us to agree. He made the music targeting people in Uganda.
But when you look at it,
you can't sell elsewhere before you sell here.
he's doing his media tours out
With
of
the album?
Uganda.
Out of Uganda.
However, when you say you can't really sell outside before you sell in Uganda, sometimes you can. Of course, the situation with Bebe Cool is a bit different because he already has a very big fan base in Uganda. So his situation is a bit complicated. But there are very many artists nga amasanyalaze gaabwe gava bweru wansi zaabwe ze balimu.
Nze kyo sikiwakanya kyempakanya
And right now,
yagikoze to change the narrative here, so that I rule out the fact that his audience, all what he was targeting, is not Ugandan. Ideally, it is here because he wants to change
To
here.
tell you the truth, bobanga streaming nga album yo eri mainly to
Streaming
streaming platforms.
Then your
Most
audience
of the
is-
chances are your audience is not in Uganda.
Kakati awo, he contradicted himself.
When he said what?
He contradicted himself
because
with
when he said
communication
what?
aligning with the album.
Because to tell you the truth, the streaming audience in Uganda, Charlie,
because even on the streaming services, that the song that he put is a Hips Don't Lie. That's the first song that he put.
Okay, guys. Patrick.
There is something around streaming platforms. Yeah. Bebe Cool, Boyata album, I don't know technically how they call it. All these songs came out like they are released that particular day.
Yeah, they have the
Now,
same
in terms of
stamp time.
airplay and distribution, that has an effect. Yeah. There are people who release their albums. Urabanga Boyata Motivation and Circumference. Nezibanga ziri off. Natutera album endala ziri red taped. So that wasalirawo ozita in terms of promotion and his timeline zijjange empya. What plan does he have in terms of promoting this music? And between this time and this time, I'm going to focus on this particular song, Lutambole, because all of us here have put our songs.
He has
with album.
Patrick, I'll answer you quickly on that. He has a fully, prepared plan for promotion of the album. So maybe we should just wait for the plan and see how he's promoting the music.
Though you see, my biggest
Our
problem
role
with
here is to point
my biggest
fingers to
problem
these
with
things.
Uganda is that Uganda has a very poor album culture. Not the audience, but the artists themselves. Like I usually give people an example of Beyonce's Cowboy Carter. That album came out in March 2024.
Yeah.
Beyonce started promoting that album at the end of January 2024, and she is still promoting that album a year plus
Later.
since the album released. She technically changed the way she dresses nti buli walabika kati abira n'enkofiira ya cowboy n'enviri eza
And it's very
blonde.
intentional.
Nti wano mu Uganda, if I could give a comparison as how we are releasing a Sankofa mu October, March by February 14th, 2024.
Ngamasavu
nga
gafuuse
afulumiza amasavu.
I think what happens here is that
N'abaringa album.
Once-
Bebe Cool did
Once-
the same with Go Mama.
yeah, but I think for
And Swanks did the same with
yes,
the All Stars.
The All-Star, yes. Well, after when they released that song that has Levikson.
Like
That is the song.
Yeah,
God
Of
Bad
that album. Eddie Kenz as well did the same.
Eddie
Yeah, I think
Kenz
it's the same.
Toleta Eddie Kenzo.
So we tulina ogwo omuzo
There's a-
sticking
what about
But
Tiba?
the fact is, Bebe Cool and album
Actually,
agenda
Bagamba
Cola.
Treater Kenzo. Bebe
Agenda
Cool would
Cola.
have had Eddie Kenzo on one of the albums to help him do something in West Africa.
Nikireke.
But
Toleta Wood.
Isaac, let's go to the music. When you listen to the songs, Patrick, when you listen to the songs on the album, I'm sure all of you will agree with me that Bebe Cool this time around actually attempts to sing.
True.
He's singing throughout the album, you know?
Yeah.
is that part of breaking the chains? Is this a new Bebe Cool trying to break through
Yes.
a different sound? What do you think about it?
I don't know if it's a totally new Bebe Cool because sagala ndye bigambo byange nga tukomyo nga Bebe Cool
afulumiza kiboggola ekirala
ngazzeemu
kaba kati
eddoboozi eryo abantu lye bamanyira okuva edda. So that I don't know, but the intention on this album clearly byeraga biki bye yali ayagala okukola ku album eno kitegeera breaking the chains. From the vocals, from the instruments, from the production, from the mastering, byonna obiraba bikola tubuzayo kati kintu kimu basically the videos. Okitegeera naye byonna ebirala nga bwe yali akipackaginze mitwe gyaffe buli kimu kitiikinze. Okitegeera nga bwe yali akitugambye nti owuliriza oluyimba olusooka n'oluyimba oluddako. I was at that listeners party. Enyimba ezimu nga ngamba now that is my favorite of that album. Naye ogenda okuwulira oluyimba olulala noga wait ate this one is better. Okitegeera nti akuwa chance okwaappreciatinga his lyrical maturity, his art mu album eno ogikakasa. Simanyi oba Patrick yagiwuliriza bulungi enyimba alabikatanaba but
it is
no, let him finish the question.
I would encourage everyone. Of course, yes, all the songs on that album. Nange zenyini sijja kugamba I loved all the 16 songs. No.
Yes.
But most of the songs are good for me. Ticked. Okitegeera. Nti this album has 3 collaborations and one is with a DJ. Okitegeera. Enyimba bbiri Yemi
Joshua Baraka.
and Joshua Baraka. Album yonna teriiko Luganda okuggyako paati ya Joshua Baraka. Okitegeera album yonna teri mu Luganda okuggyako paati ka Joshua Baraka ako
Ka microsecond ako.
Joshua's Baraka check oluyimba ne Joshua Baraka check luli 1 minute and 45 seconds. Okitegeera nti lukulekamu ennyonta.
The average duration of that album is 3 minutes.
Okitegeera nti lukulekamu ennyo nti this album was intentional and I heard nti they even had to change
The sound.
Some sound. Okitegeera nti bagikyusa because of the changing times. Naga wantukyusemuko ku nnyimba nti kiri ekya investment wekikola ki wekigira nti omusajja ye yakisaamu
bakirabira ku circumference ne motivation.
Yakisaamu obudde kyayagala kati ebyogaamu nno maybe ayinza obutakola tu oba biki album egenda kubeera ye he's doing the best he can for this album. Ye agenda giwa obudde bwayagala bwonna. Okitegeera oba it fails oba it doesn't but ye agenda kuba ataddemu kyakola ki kyayagala mu album.
Ekirala Patrick, ekirala omusajja ayina hips don't lie. With EDM, electronic music. And of course we know how whites love such kind of sound. And that's one that is on streaming platforms. And of course, after after his tour, I think he's going to release a video for that at first to make sure that you know what it's where it's going.
he has a tour.
Yeah, of course,
There's a media tour. We've already talked about that. Andrew, we have always talked about production in Uganda and how it's holding Ugandan musicians back, with how it's lacking. Sometimes it's shallow and all that. This album speaks to what we have always advocated for in terms of improving our production here. I am holding that onto the fact that the notion that Bebe Cool again is trying to break the chains. Our producer is going to learn something from how a good song in terms of production should come out, because like we started here, we all agreed that the album is good and production is a big part of that, being good. Are we breaking the chains in terms of production?
Our producers know how to produce a good song and an amazing song, but most of the things that hold us back comes down to mindset. Because nebolaba album eno yenyini eriko bannayuganda bangi, but the difference is that the artist at the top of it yali intentional ng'amanyi kyayagala ate nga ne executive producer who is Bush naye yali alina kyayagala. Nti obuzibu obusinga wano by the way ng'oyogedde n'abayimbi kiva mu bintu bitini nnyo nga bw'ogamba omuyimbi nti I would like to put Michael home on the guitars. N'agamba lwaki agenda gattako ki
bakyakuba kisobola kigatta wano
naye kyakuba tetusobola kigatta wano nti cause for example when you listen to this kid Banga Boy
Yeah.
from Swangs like when you listen to the music he does it's really amazing but most of the times oyinza okuwulira ng'olimba Banga Boy lwakubidde Azawe ate lwanjawulo omu ku lwakubidde Kitaka ate bwadda ku Nwagi n'owulira ng'era zanjawulo omu kuba buli omu alina kyayagala ng'omuyimbi. Yes, so I think when it comes to music and producing ezo chain twandibadde twazibreakinga dda singa abayimbi bonga bo bamanyi kye baagala kuba ne ku Love You Everyday it was produced in Uganda. That album was produced in Uganda. Nyimba nyingi bazikubira ku Swangs endala bazikubira ku Masters endala bazikubira ku Phenon. And it was an amazing album. But byonna byonna biva ku muyimbi kyayagala nti Bebe Cool yennyini oyo yagenda n'akola Love You Everyday yagenda n'akuba akatono. Nti yeah, at times bw'ogamba omuntu that these two things happened ayinza n'okulaba nga tebigatta. So kiva ku mindset.
I have a question in regards to that. Where did Bebe Cool record this album?
This album?
Is that the tour, the flight he made to Nigeria sometime?
Partly Nigeria.
Yes, partly Nigeria.
Some of it was produced
Some of
here.
it was produced here. Most
But
actually,
all over, eh?
most yes, mastering abasinga batera mukolera bweru wadde wano tusobola omukola.
Most of the songs were mastered, I think, in Nigeria, but he has some Ugandan producers.
Who are some of them?
Uncle Ronnie.
Ronnie has been with him for a while. He was on the album. Produced some of the
Was
songs.
Michael Fingers on again?
No, he wasn't.
Any other producer?
There were other Ugandan producers who are less known.
I mainly
to
know
us.
Uncle Ronnie and Bushington.
Washington
Bush
also
also,
actually Bush produced.
production-wise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he produced 2
production-wise.
songs on the album. Yes.
Yeah, the one who made for the video and the producer.
Nigeria.
There's a Nigerian producer as well on the album.
Like-
but guys, I want to ask you, and I'll start with you, Patrick. Maybe you talk on a lighter note.
No, I'm being very
No,
objective.
okay.
That's why I've agreed. Generally, this music is very.
And you went on for another 30 minutes to bash whatever I said. But I want to ask you, what is your favorite album on the song on the album, and why? Why would you say that is your favorite song?
Can I say two?
Yeah, it's fine.
I think the collaborations on that album, Check and I forget the name.
Love Africa.
Yeah, the one with Yemi. Yeah, the one with Yemi. And I'll also go with Circumference, the very first song that dropped. Why? Even after I listened through all the songs on Saturday night, Circumference still, because it was the very first song, as a fan of Bebe Cool, I knew this Bebe Cool. I knew this version of Bebe Cool. I had just not gotten enough of it. So Circumference gave me an entry point into this kind of vibe, and because for it I had listened to it for quite some time, I ended up really still falling much more in love with it. I love the collaboration with Yemi because, of course, of being a woman on the album, and Bebe Cool usually when he gets on a song with a female, it's really magic. Then I'm also just a fan of Yemi. Then the Check, of course, Joshua Baraka. I am a typical African and deeply rooted into my Chiganda Buganda culture. I really felt Bebe Cool didn't do justice as a Muganda man known to have our local language into the album. Because if we really want to go, Luganda needs to be attached to what we do.
I think I'm going to
So ideally, that is it for me.
No, I think I'm not. No, on that particular song, I think I'm going to agree with Patrick. Yeah. Because one, for me, my biggest issue with that, the entire album, maybe it was intentional for him to sound like that.
Of course, it was.
But
intentional.
for me, I felt like he sounded too Nigerian throughout the entire album. Maybe if I don't know whether that has a problem with the album, I don't know. But
No,
for me,
it
was
doesn't.
an
Of
issue.
course, it is from a point of concern.
No, I think it comes down to how the album was written. You remember the song African Girl from
Go Mama.
Go Mama, where people said he sounded like A-Pass
Because it was written
Epas
by.
was the writer.
because A-Pass was the writer.
I think all the songs, there are about 2-3 songs that Epas has written for him.
Yes.
On all of those songs, he sounds like Epas.
And so this album was majorly written by Ekpe Promise. Like I found him on literally every song.
Is Nigerian?
He's Nigerian.
Yeah.
And so probably that informs
How he sounds
the
and-
album
Because
sounds.
on some of the songs, even
Why to support my point more? If a person who doesn't know about Bebe Cool, the artist, anywhere, even if it's Africa here, all the world, listen to that album, would they find something that tracks him back to Uganda?
Yeah, he's Bebe Cool. He's a Ugandan. Maybe that is
Musically,
enough.
I mean musically.
To answer you, Patrick, if anyone wants to know who Bebe Cool is, his profile states Bebe Cool is a Ugandan artist.
Yes.
Do you know we listen to Nigerian music, and even before you get to know the artist by sound and really core content, you can have a redirect to know this is Nigerian. That is what I'm talking about in this album. Bebe Cool didn't do justice to us as a country or as a culture, not to include those. And it's really very okay, but it's
You don't sound like it's okay. You don't sound like it's okay. But
because I mean, as Uganda, we are proud to have our son from the Nchima clan. You know.
Nathan, what is your favorite song on the album or songs on the album and why?
I will say I have two. One, Check with Joshua
Joshua
Baraka.
Baraka, yeah.
I know most of you won't agree with me or you will agree with me. There's a point where Bebe Cool said that he wants to push young generations. And I love the fact that he put Joshua Baraka on it.
Joshua Baraka is young.
And they did an amazing job. My best song will be Home. Because
it's a good
it has all, we know how Bebe Cool is. And this song sounds like Love You Every Day. And for some reason, I feel like it should have added more tracks of such sound on the album.
I agree.
Because Home was nice.
Isaac, because of time, just give us 2. Because I know you may have more.
I'm going to give you like 5.
Okay, I knew.
Oh,
There's
okay, you can give us the album.
There's Hidden Agenda.
That's a beautiful
Good
song.
one.
There's Home.
That's the best.
There's Check.
Yeah.
There's Lost Affection. I don't know why people have not yet picked on that song. Lost Affection. Then there's
I love the really
There's
cool
Wait.
content in that one.
why particularly some of these songs that I love the instrumentation in most of these songs. The instruments, they are so detailed. Kagwa posted something about Hidden Agenda.
Yeah.
Michael
Michael Oma's
guitar
guitar.
solo at the end of the
Aye.
song. It
Lost
was
Affection
beautiful.
has a saxophone.
There's a song that starts
that
with
was
the
Jose
sax.
Sax.
Jose Sax, you understand?
Which song is that?
Lost Affection.
But Check,
Yes.
there's a way the Checks also
So
starts.
the instrumentation are so detailed in
Then
these
there's
songs.
one that starts with percussions in the beginning.
Exactly, yes.
That's a beautiful song as well.
So I have like 6 songs. It might be 6 songs.
Wow.
Love. What's the title?
Lost
again?
Affection.
Lost Affection. Even the really core content is there.
Hidden Agenda, Home because of the story behind the song.
I wish you would speak with the same energy when you're appreciating the
No,
song.
me, I'm married to Troy.
Andrew, what is your assessment of your best songs on the album?
I think one of the very first thing, like I'm a sucker for solos. Every time I find a song that has a solo
solo.
on it, whether it's a piano, guitar, or saxophone, like I fall madly in love with it.
My favorite solo is Jose Sax on Irene Tale's song Esanyu
Dagala.
Esanyu Dagala. That is a beautiful solo on that song.
So like Boy Like Me has a sax on it, I think, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's something that really got me. So I like Boy Like Me. I like Home. Home for the reasons that at times we really underrate Bebe Cool's singing, but it's good to listen to Bebe Cool when you can hear what he's singing and the instruments are in the background. And yet when you listen to this album, you realize that we had a lot of good instrumentation that at times did not give us enough chance to listen to what he's singing. So Home gives us that chance, which is the same chance that we got on Love You Every Day, we got on Mandela, Home gives us that. And then Hidden Agenda, Hidden Agenda I think is my best song on that album. One, I like the okay, before Hidden Agenda there is Check. Check for the reasons that, man, I feel like Joshua Barak at the moment is not getting anything wrong.
He seems to just be hitting everything right.
Yeah, so you know how his verse comes and then it ends and then the song ends in 1 minute.
And I think he makes that song what it is.
Yeah. And man, Ugandans are very mean, because before that album came out, someone posted on Twitter, if the Joshua Baraka collab with Bebe Cool is not good, we know who to blame. So then Hidden Agenda. Hidden Agenda is quite an amazing song. That ending piano, the ending guitar solo by Michael Uma.
It was amazing.
Amazing.
Guys, as we close, I want us to talk about the anticipated fate of this album. And I'll start with you, Isaac. The money that has been invested.
Who are you ending with?
Not Patrick. Not Patrick.
You would have started with Patrick.
I can absecond from that.
I know you can't. I know you can't. I know you can't.
That's what I've been talking about.
But Isaac, with the money that has been invested in the album,
How much is the money in the first
okay,
place?
so
But what we know is it's a lot of money.
it's a lot of money.
But
We are not
forget
going
the
to put-
figure.
we are not
but
going to
from-
put a
He
figure.
started, but you don't want us to put a figure. He started it.
Okay, you put a figure. please.
Put a figure. No, but Bebe Cool put a figure to that. I
How
think
much? How much
He
is
said
it?
$700,000 US. In the
And of course we all know. Of course we all know.
but then he said that
Zero.
no, he said that the money he's going to spend after the release of the album is a
by
lot
the
more
way,
than what he
What's
has.
the percentage ya cost zero?
By the way,
Dividing it by two.
The life
Does
of
it
an
suka wow?
album, the life of an album really starts after it has released.
Yes.
That's
so
when
he,
things
So
become
he
really
actually
tight.
said what he's going to invest after the release is going to be a lot more than what he invested before. But but Isaac, what do you think is the fate of this album with all the energy, the money, the time that has been invested in it?
I think.
Do you think it's going to suffer the same fate?
I do not think it's going to suffer the same fate Gomama suffered.
Or other Ugandan
Or,
albums?
Yes, or other Ugandan albums. But with the intention of this album, the investment of this album, I think it's going to work out. I'm so sure it's going to work out. If he hasn't got any money off yet, off this album, he's going to get money.
From streams, shows, where
Sure.
exactly?
Echasho wandikire se.
No, I heard he already received some money. He has distributors for this album.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it might not be the same amount he has invested into this album, but he's going to get some
Which
money
makes it a bad investment.
No, it's not a bad investment. It's not a bad investment.
What is a
But-
good investment?
Is that's what he's talking about? So
Well,
you-
A bad investment is one where the money you put in.
I thought you were
doesn't come
absconding
back.
from
Simple.
this. I thought
Simple
you're
as that.
sitting this out. Anyway, Nathan, in a minute or less than a minute, where do you see Bebe Cool going with Break the Chains?
Bebe Cool is going to make money out of his album. One,
From?
streams. He's going to make money from his streams. And pushing, I don't know how he's going to do it, but the album is going to thrive. And he's going to, I think he will release some videos about 6 for this album. And yeah, it's going to make money.
Patrick, where do you think? Patrick, where do you think Bebe Cool's success of this album is going to come from? I'm deliberately asking about
the
success.
success of this album is far-fetched. What I can say about it is, which is ideally the biggest thing, this album is going if it has already not satisfied Bebe Cool's ego. It has. Like, that's a total plus win for him. This is something he envisioned and he got it. 2, of course, the music on the album is not going to be the popular music anywhere. So making money, more so in relation to the investment, that is not even 1% in terms of gain from that album. If what he says is true, 770,000 US dollars, the streams can't offer that
Can't
back.
give him that much.
Can't give them that back much. This is not music that is going to make him money off the shows. This is not music he will stage a concert at the Serena to sing for his people, and the main reason is this music.
Maybe
Just-
that
no,
this
no,
is music that performs at Coachella. Maybe
to
that's
sum
where
it
he's
up,
looking.
To sum it up, Bebe Cool did good music for people like us who appreciate and love good music, who can stream, who shall enjoy the music. Yeah.
Well, he said even people in Masaka will receive it. Andrew, what do you think?
As a person who comes from Masaka, I want to tell you
What do you say?
that my people back in Masaka, the people back in Masaka,
tebajja gy'oli.
chances are okujjako ffe abali e Kampala ne tugenda ne tumu streaming that album ne Kampala one.
No, he actually said that he's going to push the music.
What
on
he
va-
says and the reality, given the
let's-
factors at hand, are totally two different things. What you wish
let me
is not
tell
what
you,
happens.
I think one of the hardest things for Bebe Cool right now is the fact that I do not know how his audience is switched on when it comes to streaming, because trust me, Nigeria had more piracy than Uganda has, but the artists were very deliberate in switching the minds of the audience to start streaming more than pirating their music. At the moment, I feel like Bebe Cool is kind of doing that by himself, because Joshua Baraka's numbers are not coming from here. Even when, like I was so shocked when I was doing a Wrapped of 2024, the top 3 most streamed, actually top 4 most streamed Ugandan artists were all Swang's Avenue artists, but none of those artists actually had more numbers than Joshua. Which kind of tells you, like, okay, this guy has more streams, but his numbers are not actually from Uganda. They're from outside Uganda. So Bebe Cool now, since he has a very, very big fan base in Uganda, it's up to him to switch their mindset
guys,
to come and start streaming music. But
That's a
you're
good
asking about the success of the album.
fate of the
Or the
album.
fate of the album. If we can limit Bebe Cool's participation on the trail, the album has a chance. One, because albums are almost a lifetime's work when it comes to promoting them. If you look at Kendrick Lamar, he's still technically promoting his GNX album. He released it in November. Like I said, Beyonce is still pushing her album. Technically, people spend years trying to promote the album. Even the entire rollout of tours is usually meant to continue pushing the album, for people to continue streaming it and continue listening to it. That's why when they go on tour, they usually theme the tours around the album they've just released. Like, it's not like they hate the music they did before, but they want to continue pushing this album. So if Bebe Cool can do a lot of work out of Uganda, because I believe that's where the market is to stream this music. If he does much of that work, one, he has to collaborate with the people he has already collaborated with. He has to collaborate with them live. We need remixes for some of these songs where other African artists jump on them or make like Afrotech remixes of them. Like, it's going to be a full, literally you can say full year or 2-year commitment. And like I
Without
said
the
at the
election
beginning,
distraction.
that's in his hands. He can go for the elections and
blows it up, or
and that might be the end of it. Or he can still be part of the trail, but still be busy outside the country.
Okay, guys, before Patrick comes up with another conspiracy theory, I want us to end the show, the show here. We want to, thank you for being part of the show. Yes, we've discussed the album. People have given their views. Now it's up to you to go and stream the music and either prove Bebe Cool wrong or prove Patrick right.